United States Securities and Exchange Commission accused of abusing power. The cryptocurrency industry resists. According to a Bloomberg report, people familiar with the matter revealed that the U.S. Treasury Department will release a report in the short term, announcing that the United States Securities and Exchange Commission has significant jurisdiction over stablecoins. The growing stablecoin market is regarded by U.S. Treasury officials as the most urgent risk. According to the data, the market value of UST has increased from $21 billion at the end of last year to nearly $70 billion. The second largest stablecoin UST also increased from last year's $3.9 billion to $32.6 billion. Similar to investors' concerns, U.S. regulators need to ensure that stablecoin issuers have sufficient reserves behind them. For SEC Chairman Gary Gensler, further strengthening of supervisory power is one of his expectations. Since taking office at the beginning of this year, he has tried to establish a regulatory system around cryptocurrency exchanges, DeFi and stablecoins to fill the gaps in the regulation of the cryptocurrency industry. However, the SEC is facing resistance due to the lack of legal basis for law enforcement and the absence of clear regulatory regulations before. In September of this year, after the SEC stopped Coinbase's plan to launch lending products, the company's founder Brian Armstrong tweeted more than 20 tweets in a row, attacked the SEC for lack of clear legal guidelines. In the SEC lawsuit against Ripple, many practitioners have also criticized it as abusing power. A network group called XRP Army was even born, which specializes in digging for evidence of misconduct in supervision. It is particularly important for the SEC to clarify the scope and rules of supervision before implementing supervision. If it is not handled properly, it may trigger collective protests in the industry. The U.S. Treasury Department intends to empower the SEC to regulate stablecoins. Bloomberg quoted people familiar with the matter as reporting that the U.S. Treasury Department will release a highly anticipated report this week. Announced that the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission has significant regulatory powers over stablecoins such as UST and USC. According to people familiar with the matter, the report will also urge Congress to pass a piece of legislation to regulate stablecoins in a manner similar to the review of bank deposits. In the past period of time, Fed Chairman Bauer and SEC Chairman Gary Gensler have expressed concerns about the ever-increasing scale of stablecoins. According to a report by Bloomberg on September 17, U.S. Treasury officials had determined at the time that Tether and other stablecoins constituted the most urgent risks and required stricter supervision. The supervision of stablecoins by the U.S. Financial Management Departments has continuously released signals that it is imperative, and the SEC is likely to become the dominant supervisory authority. This result is something Gary Gensler would like to see. In a speech in August this year, he mentioned that the SEC is studying the regulatory exploration of DeFi, trading platforms and stablecoins. In order to comply with the regulatory procedures, he called on Congress to give the SEC more authority and resources. It is not surprising that the U.S. financial regulators strictly supervise stablecoins. In the past few years, the stablecoin market has expanded extremely rapidly. According to CoinMarketCap data, the market value of UST issued by Tether has increased from $21 billion at the end of last year to nearly $70 billion. The second largest stablecoin use also increased from last year's $3.9 billion to $32.6 billion. Why are regulators so worried about stablecoins pegged to the US dollar? According to people familiar with the matter, the issue that officials are most concerned about is the same as that of investors, that is, whether there is sufficient margin reserve behind the stablecoin issuer to ensure that investors can safely move funds in or out. In addition, regulators are also worried that the issuance and sell-off of stablecoins may threaten financial stability and bring systemic risks. Regarding the tightening of regulation, the stablecoin issuers Circle and Paxos Trust have expressed support for bank-like regulation. These latecomers to the market, who are mainly engaged in the concept of compliant stablecoins, have an important demand to clarify the specific requirements of supervision and then cooperate. SEC accused of abusing power to provoke protests from the cryptocurrency industry. As an emerging asset, the pace of development of cryptocurrency always seems to be one step ahead of regulation. Since Gary Gensler took office at the beginning of this year, he has begun to deliberately establish a regulatory system for the cryptocurrency industry and try to master more regulatory powers. For example, in terms of stable currency supervision, Gary Gensler once stated that many stable currencies that invest in corporate bonds and other assets look similar to money market mutual funds and may fall under the jurisdiction of the SEC. After the rise of DeFi, Gary Gensler also promoted the landing of the first DeFi regulatory case. The agreement called DeFi Money Market was sued by the SEC in August this year. Judging from a series of developments, the SEC's regulatory powers are getting stronger and stronger. The review is becoming more stringent, and more subdivided areas are touched. But problems also arise. Due to the lack of legal basis for law enforcement and the lack of clear regulatory regulations before, the SEC has been accused by many industry companies of abusing power. In September of this year, Coinbase was planning to launch an encrypted asset lending service, but was unexpectedly suspended by the SEC. Coinbase founder Brian Armstrong changed his image of obedience and expressed his grievance and anger. Some people in the crypto industry believe that in the U.S. Securities Act of 1933, nothing involves cryptocurrency, but the SEC made an unfounded decision. Sue Ripple. Without warning or implementing procedures. They abused their power so much and made all practitioners feel uneasy.